Hello friends, welcome to lecture number 29. We have been studying about tourist behavior. In tourist behavior, we were studying about buyer's thought process. In buyer's thought process, we have already done these three and we were doing psychological factors. So we will continue with the psychological factors. In psychological factor, in the previous lecture, we have studied about Maslow's hierarchy theory. So we have already done this in the last lecture. Now one more theory which was left, we will continue with that in this lecture. So the second theory which is about motivation is Herzberg's theory. Herzberg has actually divided all the elements of a product into two categories. He said that first category is that of dissatisfiers and second is that of satisfiers. The absence of dissatisfiers is not enough. He said it's not enough for a person to purchase a product that dissatisfiers are not present. No, this makes the person neutral towards that product. It is not a motivation enough to purchase that product. To make the purchase, it is important that satisfiers are also present. Okay, so dissatisfiers are absent, satisfiers are present. And in case of satisfiers, there should be enough number of satisfiers present to motivate for a person to buy the product. Now, let me give you an example of this. An accommodation facility with a bad hygienic condition of rooms. This is a dissatisfier. Okay, if the room condition is unhygienic and bad, then in that condition, obviously the guest will not book that particular accommodation property. But so this is a dissatisfier, but absence of this is not enough. Okay, means a neutral condition is not enough. Only good hygiene is not enough, but a continuous maintenance of good hygiene condition of rooms and the entire property is what is needed. So dissatisfier is bad condition, absence of bad condition is not enough. Presence of good condition and maintenance of good condition not only in room but in the entire property is just one of the satisfiers. So absence of dissatisfiers, presence of enough number of satisfiers to motivate a person to do the purchase is what is needed. And another point which Herzberg has said, Herzberg said that sellers must avoid dissatisfiers at any cost because this completely gives a negative feeling towards a product in the mind of its prospective buyers. So absence of dissatisfiers and presence of enough number of satisfiers is required, but how many and how? Identification, first aspect, and then inclusion. So first, the company needs to identify those elements which give satisfaction to the customer and then include them in their product in enough number, so that here enough satisfier, so that actually a prospective buyer is motivated to do the purchase. So couple of points he has said: satisfiers, dissatisfier. Presence of satisfiers, absence of dissatisfiers. Only absence of dissatisfiers is not enough. Only presence of satisfiers not enough. Enough number of satisfiers. And then after that, identification and inclusion of satisfiers. Enough number of satisfiers is what is mandatory. So with this, we have completed motivation, and next we are going to study about the perception. So first of all, let us understand what is the meaning of perception. Perception is the process through which we sense, receive, organize and interpret our information in our own way. So the same information through mass media has been provided to everyone, but we sense it. Some people may sense it, some people may not sense it, some people may be oversensitive towards that information. Then we receive it. Then we organize that information, means organize that information in our mind. Okay, and then after that we do an interpretation of that information, and this entire step by step process is unique to most of the individuals, and that is why when we look at these individuals, perception of individuals is different. Now once the person is motivated enough to take an action, which is in this situation is purchase, which action? Purchase. Then what kind of action or no action will be taken will depend on the perception. Okay, so once the person has actually perceives the information, analyze the information in his own way, then whether he takes the action which is in this condition to do the purchase or doesn't take an action, matlab he becomes neutral about that, means he becomes neutral about that. That completely depends on the perception of that person. And people have different perception for the same situation. Why is it so? First of all, I told you about sense, receive, organize, and interpretation. Especially interpretation, it's very different. And after this, there are another aspect also of that person which makes this the difference, And these aspects of a person can be divided into 3 categories. Number 1 is selective attention. Now we have to understand here this thing, that this is a time of information bombardment on individuals. So every day we have been watching so many advertisements, it's difficult to remember them. So, and on an average there are 1400 advertisements which a person watches every day. 1500, more than 1500 is a very big number. Okay, so what does a person will pay attention to depends on his current needs, not his general needs, current need. What does he need at that point of time? The moment, let's say I'm thinking about maybe going on a spiritual tour, so the moment I'll see any advertisement on spiritual tours, my attention will go towards it. So it's a selective attention. Then what is anticipated? What I have been anticipating, let's say I was planning to go on a spiritual tour to, let's say, Ujjain or maybe Rishikesh, Haridwar. So the moment I'll see an advertisement with these destinations in its advertisement, my attention will go towards it. So this is again a selective attention. The next is with large deviation. Large deviation may be, deviation means what is away from the general. So if in general, let's say these, let's say this Rishikesh tour is approximately 20,000 per person, and when I saw an advertisement which was giving Rishikesh at 15,000 per person, or maybe when the average price is 20,000 and I'm getting it at 30,000, I get a price at 30,000, or maybe the average price is 20,000, but there is a company which is selling it at 20,000, but currently giving a discount of, let's say, 20%. So that makes it approximately 16,000 because 4,000 discount is available. So these all are large deviations away from the normal. Normal was 20, one was 15, another one was 16, and third one was 30. These all were deviations. So these deviations, drew my attention towards these advertisements or these, information. So my attention actually went towards these things. So that is how a person's attention becomes selective, not to all the information, but information which have these kind of elements into it. Okay. Now, next is selective distortion. Now, we all have a tendency to, twist the information, to perceive the information which is suiting to our perception. Okay, if I have this thing in mind that there is a certain destination which is always overcrowded with the number of tourists, over tourism is taking place. So, even if I am reading any news article in the newspaper, which is talking about that destination is, let's say, having maybe 1 lakh tourists, okay, and they might be writing this thing in a very positive note that this is the number of tourists who have been going to this destination. So this is a big deal, big achievement for any destination. I will be perceiving this information with a selective distortion that since I think it is, overcrowding is taking place and over tourism is taking place, so this 1 lakh is over tourism. I will not try to correlate this information with the facts that maybe that destination has a carrying capacity of, let's say, 1,20,000. So even if 1 lakh tourists are there and the carrying capacity is 1,20,000, it clearly means that, there is no overcrowding, there is no over tourism which is taking place. The destination can accommodate still further by 20,000 more. So this is selective distortion, because my perception was such that overcrowding and over tourism, so I took it as overcrowding and over tourism without any checking it with the facts. So this is selective distortion. And third is selective retention. Now we only remember what is as per their personal beliefs. Tourists only remember what is as per their beliefs and attitude. Okay, so in that condition, it is the job of the marketer to actually find out that what are the personal beliefs and attitude of its tourist, of its prospective customers, by checking on their profile. And this will help the marketer to direct the communication and to add those kind of elements into advertisement, publicity, anything which it is trying to do in communication, in such a way wherein actually people remember that advertisement, that communication. And another thing is this, that retaining the attention can also be done through repeat broadcast of the same information. So don't be confused between same information and same advertisements. Advertisements may be different, but providing the similar information in all these advertisements repeatedly is what I am discussing about here. Okay, so attention. So first of all, check the personal beliefs and attitude from the profile, include that information, and then repeatedly broadcast that information so that the attention of the prospective buyer can be retained. With this, we have completed perception. Now we will study about learning. Now, what is the meaning of learning? Whenever anybody gains some kind of experience, that experience brings in some change in the behavior of that person, and that change in behavior is called learning. Okay, so the company, when we talk about any tour management company, travel management company, TMCs, when they need to include certain elements in their in their tours, like destination is there, local transportation is there, accommodation is there, F&B services are there, site tickets are there, then they need to explore and find out that which elements should be included in their product. So for that, they send their employees on FAM tours, familiarization tours, okay, to take an experience of these services provided by these service suppliers. These experiences are then become the base for the travel management company to decide whether to include those elements in the tour or not. So company selects destination, accommodation, transportation services, all these things. Okay, and this consumption becomes learning. Okay, so company itself first of all learns, and then company includes that. And once the company has included that on the basis of its own learning, we have to remember this thing, that these people are a part of the company. Okay, a part of TMC, not the real life consumer. Point number one. Point number two, the company might have sent some mystery buyers. So even these mystery buyers are more reliable than companies' its own employees, but still these mystery buyers are also not real life customers. So though it has done to the best possible effort from its own side on the basis of its own learning to include or not include certain elements of suppliers to its product, but still when there comes a feedback from the side of the tourists who are the real life customers, real life consumers, then this learning, second step of learning, that is feedback, becomes a basis for the tour management companies to decide whether to include those elements, in fact continue including those elements in its products or not. So this is about learning. Now next is beliefs and attitudes. Now belief is an abstract construct which a person possesses about a service. So it is a construct, means it is a combination of couple of items put in together. and it's abstract. Abstract means it is a concept. It is not something which can be seen. So a belief is an abstract concept which a person possesses about any service. And beliefs are actually also based on the experiences. So as the learning was based on experiences, beliefs are also based on experiences. And the company needs to tap on the kind of belief which people are generally having about its product as well as company. So company needs to here be very clear about what are those general beliefs which people are carrying about its product. And belief directly affect the positioning and branding. It's a very important point which we need to remember. Whatever way the company might be trying to position and brand its product, to a very, very large extent, this positioning and branding will get affected by what the real life consumers or the market in general believes about these products. So the beliefs, so company needs to keep a check on what do people feel about them. Now we need to understand here one thing, that if the company is trying to position itself or to brand itself in a certain way, and what market is believing about that particular brand, if there is a difference between these two expected and real life situations, then in that condition rectification is needed from the side of the company needs to do the rectification, means amendment, clarification, through communication, through some kind of activity, or whichever way company can do this, so that this misplacement which is happening can be rectified and company can change the beliefs of the public in general towards its product as well as to the company itself. Now uncorroborated beliefs are also not good. Uncorroborated means that there is no justification for those beliefs. There may be no solid foundation behind those beliefs, but they are just existing. Okay, so these are very difficult. Like in the previous example which I gave you, I told you that it's just that I have it in my mind that that place is overcrowded or maybe over tourism is taking place, but it was an uncorroborated belief. Why? It was uncorroborated because the carrying capacity of that place was 1,20,000. And in 1 lakh itself, I started thinking that over tourism is taking place. So it is an uncorroborated belief. So that's what this is saying, that uncorroborated beliefs are not good for the company, and company needs to do the necessary changes in wherever in whichever aspect of marketing mix it needs to do, it should do, so that these can be corrected. So these can be hidden charges in prices. So many times customer says there are hidden charges in the prices of tours. This is not true. It's not about hidden charges. Taxes, they say taxes, you don't include taxes. Taxes cannot be a hidden charge. Tax is subject to change. So maybe the company is coming up with a brochure and a website today, and maybe after 1 week the government is changing taxes. Then every time the company cannot come up with the a new brochure, and this change did not necessarily be a hike in taxes. It can even be lowering the taxes. So taxes certainly cannot be a part of pricing which is mentioned in the brochure or on the website or in any of the advertisement. So it is not hidden charge. It's clearly written in the brochure itself that whatever has not been included is not a part of, that has to be paid extra. So this is not hidden, but there is a very clear belief in the people, among the people in society general, that GITs have hidden charges. These are not hidden charges. Okay, now general hygiene habits of people of a destination. If in general worldwide there is a conception that there is a place, a destination where the hygiene habits of people are not good, then the destination needs to make a lot of effort, like what has been happening in India through Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Okay, India in general used to have a perception in the market that it is Indians are not so hygienically good. But now with so many Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Swachh Namami Gange, and different kind of programs which government has come up with, government is trying to change this image, and to a very very great extent India has been able to do so. So these are all the things, or unprofessional staff in a hotel. If once this thing happens sometime somehow in the market, then the company really needs to do a very hard work actually to change this kind of an image or belief in the market. Okay, now when beliefs are being found repeatedly and found to be correct, then those beliefs become attitude, and attitudes are very difficult to change. They are very consistent in nature. Okay, so because they are based on real life repeat experiences, so attitudes are very difficult to change. So if a child gets a negative or positive experience, he has just got some kind of good or bad experience during his childhood, maybe once or twice, then this much experience of his childhood is enough for him to develop an attitude, even if when he becomes an adult, that that particular product is not good. Okay, so this is how the company should pay utmost attention towards the way in which they behave with the child, because that child is going to be his that company's future prospective customer. So satisfying the needs of this child, obviously to certain extent in the right way, is very important. And that's what these Disneyland founders and Disneyland management has been doing. For them, every child is a customer. They know if that child goes back, he will come back as a teenager, he will come back as an adult, he will come back as a father or a mother. And then if his child are also satisfied, so that way he can have the Disneyland can have a lineage of generation by generation people coming back, very loyal customers. So this is we have to remember that first of all, what the market is believing, that belief has to be correct as per the desired belief which the company wants. And second is what kind of attitude on the basis of repeated repeated beliefs the market is generating towards itself. Okay, now next is I'm going to conclude the buyer's thought process. Okay, so in this one, if you see, in buyer's thought process, we have done the personal characteristics. Okay, so I'm going to conclude personal characteristics. So by now we know that consumer thought process is complex and results with interactions among cultural, social, personal and psychological factors, which are all personal aspects. Though not all of them can be manipulated by the marketers to work in their favor, but this is sure that a better understanding of these interactions will help them to understand tourist behaviors and responses towards their products. With this, I'm resting this lecture here. At the end of it, I have provided you with a list of 5 books. You can refer to any of the books of your choice or any other book as per the availability. Thank you.